We are very pleased to be joined by Jake Smith, former North Bay Battalion goaltender, as we are going to be broadcasting games from the inaugural season and playoff run all the way to the OHL final. Jake, thanks so much for doing this.
No, it's my pleasure.
Let's reflect on the news when the Brampton Battalion announced they're moving to North Bay. What was your first impression of the city upon arriving here?
Oh, it was exciting. We all have heard about how amazing the fans were back when the Centennials were around and how big of a hockey town the North Bay really is. And we kind of went from not so big hockey market to an insane, huge market there in North Bay where hockey was the biggest thing. It was the biggest show. And I think we were all really excited. Obviously, yeah, it was tough leaving Brampton, and for me, I lived at home while I was in Brampton, so it was tough to get adjusted. But as soon as all that happened, it was nothing but positive and exciting.
Now, it was a Cinderella run. Let's skip to the playoffs. First round against Niagara, fell down 3-1 in the series, and then a big win on the road to force Game 7 at home. To bring us through that series and how much of a roller coaster that first round series against the Ice Dogs was.
Oh, it was wild. For me, that was my first playoffs going in as a starting goaltender. So, it was nuts. I'm a young kid. I think I was 17 at the time. And you go in there and down 3-1. Like, we played a great game on home ice. It was all exciting, and then you kind of go down 3-1. Things aren't going well, and you're like, well, as a young kid, you're like, well, okay, now I got to start planning my summer. When am I going home? And then I remember actually Matt McLeod. He was an overager with us. He gave a speech I think it was going into the third period of Game 5. And I don't know if we were tied or down, I don't remember, but I remember he gave a speech and it was just like, wow. Like, he motivated the entire team, and he was just like, I'm not ready for my OHL career to be over. And we're like, you know what? We're all going to fight for this guy. We're going to fight for all the overagers, all the guys that might be moving on next year. And I remember that moment like so clearly, and we just went out and that was it. After that, there was no looking back, and we kind of just took over the series. As
Game
weird as that.
7 at home, Memorial Gardens, and the final whistle blew around the 11-minute mark of the third period, 11 minutes, 9 minutes into the third, and then there wasn't another whistle until the final buzzer as you were up 2-1. Bring us through that just wild third period.
Yeah, to start it off, I remember letting the first shot on net of the game, and I was like, oh no, come on. But we just had one of those teams that rally, and that third period, like, as soon as we got that lead, there was nothing that was going to stop us. Like, we had guys that were going to be jumping in front of pucks no matter what, with their face, with whatever part of their body to block that shot. We were going to do whatever it took to win, and I think it only worked to our advantage to not have a whistle, because they didn't have a chance to set up or pull their goalie, like make a timeout and make a play with their goalie pulled and stuff like that. So we just knew exactly what we had to do. We were on a mission, and Stan said it right in us, exactly what we need to do, and everybody was just ready to buy in. So once that final buzzer went, we're like, man, this can be a special year. We all kind of realized the accomplishment we just had coming down from 3-1, and now we have momentum on our side. So there was nothing that was going to stop us.
Now, Barrie was a rough series, semifinal series, and then when you faced the Oshawa Generals, it was a surprising sweep. What did that do for your confidence, knowing that you're going to be facing the Guelph Storm after sweeping the Generals?
Oh, man. We knew Guelph was a powerhouse. Like, they had all those guys. You can see a handful of them all playing in the NHL right now. But, yeah, it's it gave us a ton of confidence. We knew how big a powerhouse Oshawa was too, and the fact that we just had that series, like, they didn't even stand a chance in that series. It was pretty special. It just gave everybody that confidence, meaning like, we can actually do this. And just after we won that series, it was just such a special moment for everybody, winning the Bobby Orr Trophy and everything. Like, it was just so exciting. Just everything, all the emotions going through that whole run. But yeah, definitely a lot of confidence.
And now against Guelph, split on the road to start, and then unfortunately at Memorial Gardens, unable to secure a win. Thoughts on that final OHL series against the Storm? Didn't turn out the way you wanted, but you certainly gave it your best shot.
Yeah, I mean, I remember actually those games so clearly. I remember the 2 splits. That was awesome. Like 2 overtime games, and we're like, we can play with these guys. There's going to be no issue. And I remember we were actually ahead. I think it was 3-2 on home ice in game 3, and they got a fluky goal with a couple minutes left in the game. Shot from the half wall, went off one of our guys' skates or their guys' skates, like kind of in front of the net, and it just deflected right in. There's a fluky goal, and one of those really unfortunate bounces. And then I think they ended up scoring with like 30 seconds left to win it. And yeah, it was just one of those games where we had it in our fingertips. And I think after that game, we were hurting a little bit because we knew how close we were and how much we can play with these guys, we can beat these guys. And then obviously game 4 was a tough one. I think when things just started going wrong, it just got worse for us. But I mean, we fought throughout the entire series, and it was just so special to be a part of. Even that game 5, like we were with them the entire way on their home ice. And I mean, I think honestly, with a couple different bounces, that series goes a completely different way. But it was so fun to be a part of. We had such a good group that doesn't even matter how it ended up. It was just such a great memory.
Now, several of your teammates are NHLers. Let's talk Barclay Goodrow and Mike Amadio. Do you still stay in touch with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I talked to Mike Amadio a lot. He was one of our close net guys, like throughout my whole career. He was with me from day 1 to the end. So him and I were really close. I mean, Barks and I too were really close. I mean, it's things obviously get in the way. Like I'm over in Europe in a different time zone. They're over in the NHL. I mean, obviously Mike's in LA and Barkley's now in Tampa. But I mean, they're just doing so well for themselves. It's so awesome to see. And I mean, when you do get to see him, it's like seeing an old friend like that. I mean, it's like seeing a brother that you haven't seen in a little bit, and you pick up right where you left off. So it's always special seeing those guys, and it's so awesome to see him doing so well.
And local boy Nick Paul into a young man in Ottawa, and he's making a regular of himself on the Ottawa Senators roster.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to see how far he has come. I mean, I remember him coming from midget, and he started the same year I did, and then he wins a World Junior Gold, and just goes up, and now he's finally he's just getting his chance, and he's making the most out of it, and it's so awesome to see that too. Like he's a guy that works so hard. He's one of the toughest, most skilled guys I know, and I know he's going to do real well up there.
Now let's focus on your career playing in Europe. Latest action was in the Italian league, unfortunately cut short due to the COVID concerns, but bring us through the recent years for you playing in Europe.
Honestly, it's been amazing. The last few years playing the Austrian league has been a blast. Good hockey. You see a lot of guys that, I mean, I played against in the OHL that now come back and now they're over in Europe, or guys that you hear about in the NHL and they end up in Europe after their NHL careers are done. So you see a lot of these guys that you kind of know, and just like the lifestyle of everything is amazing. Like it's just you actually get a ton of time off. You get to travel, you get to experience the world and experience all these new different things. You're always constantly meeting new people, meeting new guys. I've now got friends in almost every country in the world. So it's fun to be a part of that, and the hockey's great. It's a different game than over in North America for sure, with the bigger ice and a lot more of the hanging on to the puck, trying to make the right passes instead of a lot of the crash and bang you see in the NHL, right? But yeah, then this last year was a lot of fun too. It just sucks that the season got cut short, but I mean, every new year is a new experience with new guys, and honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm
And
lucky to be part of that.
let's get your thoughts on your former assistant coach, Ryan Houlihan, getting the reins behind the bench for the Battalion. 3-year deal just announced.
Oh, I'm so proud of him. He deserves it. I mean, he did so much for that organization. He did so much for me personally while I was there. He's just a rock solid person, and he deserves it. And I think he's going to do unbelievable things for that organization.
And now I just want to get back to the COVID situation. You had to basically escape Europe before it took over. Just bring us through your past month. It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's been really crazy. I mean, it's so unfortunate what's going on in the world right now, but our experience was pretty unique. I mean, I know how hard Italy got hit, or well, is getting hit right now with the virus. It's really sad to see, but yeah, I mean, our province where we were was the last to get shut down, so we were actually able to get out in time, in the nick of time, actually. And I mean, we just kind of got back. My parents threw my car keys, and we drove up to our family home up north in Perry Sound, our cottage there, and kind of just stayed there. We did our 2 weeks of quarantine to make sure we did everything right, because we know how crazy everything was in Italy. We wanted to be so cautious with everything, and we finally got a chance to come home yesterday. So finally got to see our families. So that's great.
And what was the atmosphere like in Italy during this time?
Honestly, it was really positive, especially where we were. We were in a valley that, I mean, it was pretty high up in the mountains, and everything was life as usual. Everybody was kind of remaining calm, trying to keep everything going, and it was kind of just more watching the news. I think now they kind of realize how serious the situation is, but yeah, I think they're handling it really well, and just got to keep doing the necessary moves to make sure that the disease doesn't spread.
And what are your plans for this spring and summer here in North America?
This spring and summer, usually I do a lot of goalie coaching. I help out with my former goalie coach, Rob Beattie. He was actually the goalie coach when I was in North Bay and Brampton. But we do a lot of goalie coaching together. I do a lot of training, obviously, a ton of training, and just enjoy the life while you have the off season a little bit. Hopefully, everything that's going on in the world right now kind of clears up for us. But yeah, it's just try to stay positive and keep going.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
You too.